Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I'm Andrew Langer, sitting with Julie Gunlock today in for Larry O'Connor. We got Juan Pablo Segura joining us in a couple of minutes. Congressman Andrew Clyde from Georgia, and I don't want to waste any time. We've got Connor Boyack coming on and joining us right now. He is the creator of the Tuttle Twins. He's president of the Libertas Institute and author of the book America's History, a Tuttle Twins series of stories. He's also the person who I saw breaking this story about this 12-year-old boy, Jaden. Of course, now that the story is coming out and we're all talking about it, the left is pushing back. Connor, let's get into his. You got hip to this story early on, right? Because this kid is a Tuttle Twins kid. He was reading your stuff. His parents were reading your stuff to them. This story, it's not. Well, talk a little bit about your impression of the story, your immediate reactions.
Well, this kid is extremely based. He is an instant legend. He gets kicked out of class for having his Gadsden flag patch that says "Don't tread on me." The school administration claims that, it's connected to slavery, therefore it's a disruption to the class environment. They're driving home from school. His mom's driving him home, and he says, "Mom, in the Tuttle Twins book, when they had a legal problem, they got the news to come help them. Can we get the news?" She's like, okay. So she drives to the local TV station, the NBC affiliate. Kid literally walks up to the front door and presses the doorbell, the little security doorbell, asking if a reporter will come out and talk to him. No one would. So that's when they reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, he's a big fan. Can you help?" I'm like, "I'm definitely sharing this story. Absolutely."
Hey, but they've been after this kid before, and this is where the left is going after him. He dared to have pro-gun patches on his backpack. They made him remove those.
That's right.
They drew the line, and I understand why they're drawing the line, but talk a little bit about that, sort of dispel the myths here. Obviously a pro-Second Amendment family, but Connor, tell us a little more about that.
For sure. He did have a number of other patches that included firearms. For example, he had one from the Firearms Policy Coalition, and the school district policy does say, no apparel, no clothing, no patches or anything featuring drugs, alcohol, tobacco, firearms. And so on that basis, Jaden conceded, even though he thought it was stupid, and he's a big Second Amendment kid. He's like, "Fine, I'll take those off," and he did. He kept the Gadsden flag one, and if you watch the video, which is all over Twitter and elsewhere, X, I guess we're calling it now. If you watch the video,
we're calling it Twitter.
We're still calling it Twitter.
Yes,
if you watch the video, you can see that the entire conversation with the school administrator is about the Gadsden flag patch. So now that tens of millions of people across the country have seen this story and brought pressure on the school, they're trying to claim, we just have concerns about these, firearms things. Well, that's BS. None of the video has anything to do with that. They were targeting this Gadsden flag patch, and so they're really just trying to cover their butts right now.
Connor, I just want to take a moment to say my kids, my three boys, we are a Tuttle Twin family. I thank you so much for, frankly, doing some of the work that I would have to do. I just hand them one of your books, and the job is done. So thank you. I am thrilled.
Mission accomplished.
I am thrilled. Also, my friend Jane has a Tuttle Twin book club. I just have to put a plug in that. You are very popular in my circle of friends. But I will say, one thing that you pointed out is that this kid is so, you can tell he knows what's going on. He knows the truth. He knows this school person is incorrect and saying this is tied to racism. So often we talk about, arming parents and making sure parents have the facts so they can fight back. But what you're doing is helping to arm kids, helping to educate kids, which is a failure of our public schools, and not just public schools. There's an awful lot of private schools that are failing in this as well. Tell us just a little bit about why you started the Tuttle Twin. I really want people to understand how important the Tuttle Twins is, especially these days.
So we started in 2014 with the first book. No one knew who I was or who we are or who the Tuttle Twins is or anything. And it was just a side project. It was a fun little endeavor to say, hey, let's write some books that teach kids these ideas. And we were plodding along for several years. And if you look at 2014 all the way through 2019, so that's 6 years inclusive, we sold about 750,000 books, which for a little self-published side hustle, I thought was awesome. 2020 hit, we sold 1.3 million books that year alone, because all of a sudden everyone's like, number one, I'm a homeschooler now, so what do I do, right?
Yeah.
My kids are home from school. But number two, what the heck has happened to my country, and what have I taken for granted? So let me talk to my kids, and then word of mouth quickly spread, for the Tuttle twins. I have to give a shout out to CNN, though. They get part of the credit for the Tuttle twins' growth. The year after that, 2021, they published an article claiming that we were responsible for creating a right-wing children's education complex. And,
oh my
and
God.
So I took a screenshot of this article. I plastered social media. I sent it out to our million-plus email list. I said, hey, guys, we're going to have some fun with this. For the weekend, it was like a 3-day weekend or whatever. I said 50% off, coupon code CNN. Come get your books.
Oh, man.
And as a direct result of CNN, we sold over 100,000 books that weekend. So if anyone knows anyone at MSNBC, send them my way.
So you're also a marketing whiz. Brilliant.
We're talking with Connor Boyack. He is the president of the Libertas Institute. Connor, so what's next for Jaden? What's going on with him? What are they looking? Do they want people to get more involved? What's going on there?
So he did go back to – so he got kicked out of class 2 days ago. And yesterday in the morning, I've been texting nonstop with the mom. And so in the morning, I'm like, hey, I just shared the video with her permission, of course. And so I'll keep you updated on that. But what's Jaden going to do for school? She said, oh, he's going to school. And he said he wants to do a sit-in if they try and do anything about it.
There you go.
And no one said anything to him because even by early morning, there were already millions of views behind this thing. The school's getting a bunch of emails, the district. So no one said a peep to Jaden. Now, what's sad is he ate lunch alone yesterday, and he was just playing chess by himself. Yeah, and so I posted on Twitter last night. I'm like, hey, let's get some messages of love. And so I just sent that to him this morning. There's like 1,300 people, including Dean Cain, who's Superman, and all these other people chiming in to say, Jaden, you're awesome. You're an inspiration. What's next for him? Well, number one, today he's taking the day off. There's a lot of media interest, and so Mom and Jaden are a bit overwhelmed, and they're just going to take the day to be able to process through all of that. He actually wants to fight the firearm thing. He wants his firearm patches back on. So Mom and Jaden, they are not content with this concession. Last night, the school board went into an emergency session.
Oh, boy. I bet they did.
Yeah, and they what's funny about this, too, is last night the school had a back-to-school night planned, their annual back-to-school night. 3 hours before the event, they email all the parents and they said, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are postponing back to school night. And so they didn't do that last night, but the school board did have an emergency session. They did say, no, the Gadsden flag is okay. And so that's a small victory, but I need, accountability for that administrator. We need to see some kind of reprimand or discipline or fire someone.
Or an apology.
Ridiculous. Or an apology at least, right? And number two, Jaden really wants his firearm patches, which is contrary explicitly to school policy, but that's a fight that he wants to have.
Good.
And I say, go for it, kid. You're already standing up. Why not continue?
Well, Connor Boyack, how do folks find out more about the good work that you are doing as an author and at the Libertas Institute?
So, yeah, TuttleTwins.com is where you can find books. We're actually doing a back-to-school sale this weekend, so it's good timing. If you want to get the history books or the children's books, TuttleTwins.com is where to go. If you're curious about me or Libertas, we're easily Googleable online, libertas.org, ConnorBoyack.com. But just encourage everyone to check out Tuttle Twins. The fact that Jaden has been reading this stuff for years and now he's actualizing the ideas that he has been learning.
Nice.
That obviously for an author, that is like my dream.
Aww.
He is the encapsulation of what we've been trying to do. And so we're trying to make 1 million more Jadens to fight for the future of this country.
Thank you,
Go
Connor.
and check it out.
TuttleTwins.com.
Thank you very much, Connor. I appreciate it. You take care.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
On the next Vince Coglianese show, how close are we to Biden's impeachment? We'll ask a congressman coming up 3 to 6 on WMAL.
Well, we are back, everybody. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today. Sitting with me, of course, is Julie Gunlock. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
There we go. Joining us right now, he is running for the Virginia State Senate, representing District 31 in Loudoun County. His name is Juan Pablo Segura, and there is a forum on human trafficking this evening with two of these Virginia Senate candidates, both Juan Pablo Segura and Bill Wolf, Tell us about this, Juan Pablo.
Well, Andrew, thanks, and Julie, thanks for having me on this morning. Super excited. When I was on the show earlier, I think in a month, one of the commitments I made, my whole platform for running for Senate here in Virginia, is that we can be successful together. And my commitment is to bring people together to solve real problems in the community. Human trafficking is a growing problem in Virginia and across the country. Just a couple weeks ago in Williamsburg, the police raided a laundromat where there were more than 100 migrants that were being trafficked and used for illegal labor. And so we've got to talk about these issues. We've got to come up with solutions. And so we're hosting a really important and timely forum this evening at 7 p.m. at the John Barton Payne building in Warrenton. It's an open community event. Another incredible Senate candidate, Bill Wolf, is running it with me, with Frank Wolf, former congressman, Bob Mosier, who was the secretary here in Virginia for public safety, Amelia, a community activist, and actually a victim of human trafficking. And so it's going to be a great conversation.
Juan, I can't thank you enough for covering this. This is a critical issue, and I'd like to bring up an attempt to pass a bill last year that would have protected kids from these from trafficking. This is Sage's Law. Got a lot of media coverage and was defeated because of the Democrats who voted against it. And frankly, Bill Wolf is actually running against Danica Rome, who was one of the leaders in defeating Sage's bill. Again, Sage's bill would have is named after an actual victim who secrets were kept from her family at the school level, and she eventually was trafficked and sexually assaulted. So, how do you think that this issue is going to affect the election? Are voters aware of not only, sort of the broader human trafficking problem, but how this actually connects to schools and secrets being kept from parents?
Yeah, I mean, I hear this on the campaign trail all the time, which is, are schools actually safe? And so voters are concerned about this. And this is what we're up against, Julie, to be honest. A common sense bill was passed in the House of Delegates earlier this year, but was stopped in a radical controlled state Senate because the Senate Democrats didn't want to empower parents. And this bill, I mean, it's incredibly powerful. If a child, it's not just against human trafficking, which is incredibly important. The bill itself, Sage's Law, would have required administrators in schools to notify parents if their children had thoughts of suicide. And that was blocked. Thoughts of suicide. This is a mental health crisis that we're going through, and we've got radicals in the state Senate that don't want to empower parents and get this important information, what's happening in their children's lives, back to the home. And so I'm going to make sure that we pass Sage's Law. When I'm elected, I've called on my opponent to acknowledge that Sage's Law is important. She hasn't done that. She's refused to talk about it.
Wow.
And so this is what we're up against.
So I appreciate the fact that you and Bill Wolf, who's running in Senate District 30, he is really focused on he's running against transgender lawmaker Danica Rome. This is very important stuff here as well. What I appreciate about what you're doing in this human trafficking event tonight, it's going to be at the John Barton Payne Community Hall in Warrenton, Virginia. It's this issue that shouldn't be partisan, and yet the left has now made it a partisan issue. We should all be deeply concerned about this. I mean, are you dismayed, Juan, that this has become this partisan issue? I don't understand. I personally don't understand it, but please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a national trend here. I mean, in California, the California government refused to acknowledge child sex trafficking as a crime because, again, ideologies are kind of getting into the schools, and that's what we're up against. So yeah, this is a huge problem. You've got incredible candidates on the Republican side, like Bill Wolf in Senate District 30, that's standing up, just like myself. We're standing up and we want to empower parents. We want to make sure our schools, I mean, it's actually pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Our schools need to be safe. The school systems need to be accountable and transparent. Here in Loudoun County, there are hiding sexual assaults in the schools. They're hiding National Merit Scholarship letters from minority parents and students because merit and excellence are no longer priorities in our school system. And I mean, this is the dose of common sense that we're trying to bring back to Virginia with the governor and myself and Bill Wolf. And so we're working hard to do that. Voters are responding well, and we're just going to keep focusing on kitchen table issues.
Right, as you should. Juan Pablo Segura, best of luck tonight with your event, the John Barton Payne Community Hall in Warrenton, Virginia, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Go and check that out tonight. We've got so much more to get to right now. It's 8:24 on WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor here on O'Connor and Company. Sitting with me is Julie Gunlock, and as we are trying to make sense of the news, one of the people who's going to help us is Congressman Andrew Clyde. He's from Georgia, and we've been having this discussion, Congressman, about the use of the appropriations process as a tool in Congress, or as an arrow in Congress's quiver of things they can do to deal with the executive branch, to act as a check on the federal executive branch when things run amok. Let's talk about this and this proposal that you have. There are some folks who have been critical of it. It's raised some interesting questions. Tell us all about it.
Well, you know, the power of the purse is the most powerful tool or weapon, I guess, that Congress has. And by the way, it's great to be with you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. But funding is what Congress is all about. You know, that's why we have 2-year terms and and senators have 6. So we are closest to the people and held accountable by the people because we hold the power of the purse. And we're going to use the power of the purse where it is appropriate, where it should be used. And in this instance, we have the weaponization. We have an administration, the Biden administration, weaponizing our judicial system basically into the election interference arm of the Democrat Party,
right? Where
you now have Democrat prosecutors, Democrat judges in Democrat districts with Democrat juries to prosecute a Republican political candidate, the number one, the leading political candidate in a presidential election, and try and take him out, throw him in jail, and take him out of the contention for the presidency. And we're not going to allow that to happen. The way we deal with that is we defund it. And every year when the fiscal year turns over, that's the apex of Congress's power. And we're coming up on that in just about a month. And so I'm introducing 2 amendments, one for the federal level, one for federal funds at state level, to prevent federal funding from being used to prosecute, not to investigate, but to prosecute any presidential candidate, any major presidential candidate prior to the 2024 election. Because we can't allow that to happen. The American people are the ones who decide who our next president is going to be. It's not the Department of Justice or some rogue local prosecutor who can throw someone in jail on bogus charges and then process be the penalty. Eventually the charges either get dropped or they get declared innocent or it gets overturned in appeals, whatever. But the process is then a penalty by taking that person out of being able to campaign, during this election season. And we're just not going to allow that to happen. These amendments will defund it.
Congressman, you laid this out perfectly, and I think so many of us are so grateful that you've moved on this. But can I ask just a quick question? What has taken so long? Why has Congress not used the power of the purse earlier? We've seen these abuses for years.
Well, you mean as in earlier in years past or earlier this year?
Or both.
Okay. Well, honestly, I've only been here like almost 3 years, and the majority, the majority are the ones who really control the power of the purse, and so we've only been in the majority about 8.
Sure.
So in the minority, we really don't have that authority at all. But in the majority, we do. And so we have to use it. The American people gave us the majority, gave Republicans the majority, so we would change the way Washington operates. We started that with the speaker's fight in January. I was one of the 20 that stood strong and said, no, we are going to fundamentally change the way Congress operates. You know, if we're going to have Kevin McCarthy as speaker. And so we got some great changes there, and it has helped us, I think, stay unified in many ways, and then helped us move forward. It has put strong conservative voices on important committees to make a difference in the fiscal spending, in the fiscal responsibility of the federal government. And because we just haven't had, I think, the backbone in these committees of these important committees of jurisdiction, like the Appropriations Committee, the one I'm on, to make these kind of changes. And, you know, the speaker's fight put more conservative representation on these committees, which allows us to do things like what I'm doing right now. So that's one of the reasons why it's happening now. Now, mind you, in December, Pelosi passed the omnibus to kind of protect the Democrat, policies through the end of September, to basically deny we, the Republicans, the ability to change the government until the spending fight starts up again, and that begins 1 October. And so, or the new fiscal year, the 2024 fiscal year begins 1 October, and that's when the power of Congress is at its apex.
Well, listen, Congressman, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. How do folks find out more about the work that you do for the 9th Congressional District of Georgia?
Well, they can go to clyde.house.gov, and they can look there. And if they want to look at what we're doing on investigating Biden, just go /Biden crime family, and you see all the evidence we've laid out on our website. But you can follow us on Rep. Clyde, on Twitter, and on Facebook.
Well, thank you, Congressman Clyde. You best of luck to you, good sir. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
We've got more coming up. It's 8:43 on WMAL. We are back. I am Andrew Langer, and I'm not so sure. Heather put this in. I am not so sure if this is critter news or gross news. But here's your gross story of the day. I mean, it is critter news, Julie. A roundworm that was still alive and wriggling was pulled from the brain of a 64-year-old Australian woman at the Canberra hospital, calling it the world's first case. And thank God for that.
Oh.
Has
the president been checked for this?
Well, listen, it's funny you
Andrew?
say that, because when we started talking about this early on, the issue of things in the brain affecting decision-making capabilities, we went through this in America with Bill Casey, the head of the CIA, who had a fist-sized brain tumor in his head when he was directing the CIA. But this is, to our knowledge, this is also the first case to involve the brain of any mammalian species, human or otherwise, said her doctor, who's a professor at Australian National University. This is the thing that gets me. I mean, I love swimming. I love swimming in swimming holes. But this concept of parasites and things. So here's how she got it, Julie.
Ugh.
Researchers say the patient. Oh, yeah. Listen, parents, if your kids are listening, you may want to turn I would say some of you will turn it down. Some of you will turn it up. If you have, 7, 8, 9-year-old boys, turn this up
Andrew,
real
I'm just
loud.
going to tell you, Larry and I, we
turn it up.
We don't often tell people to turn it up.
I know, yes. Researchers say the patient lived near a lake area inhabited by carpet pythons, Julie, in southeastern New South Wales. So carpet pythons in the lake, which I love. Although she did not have direct contact with the pythons, it's likely she caught the roundworm after foraging for warrigal greens, a native leafy vegetable which she cooked and ate. The scientists and doctors involved in her case theorized that a carpet python might have spread the parasite via its feces into the greens, which the patient then touched and cross-contaminated with food or other cooking
Does
utensils.
this woman know that there are bagged salads at the grocery store?
I don't know.
You can buy a head of iceberg for like $1.70.
Right, and you're not going to have a python poop roundworms in it.
This is where the natural girl in me totally exits the stage.
Right.
I just, give me a bagged salad from Safeway and I won't get a worm in my brain.
Here's the thing.
Thank you, modernity.
Right in all of this is, it's not. Listen, I don't know if she washed her Warrigal greens before cooking them. But the idea that cooking her Warrigal greens didn't kill this, listen, this is how
Andrew's such a foodie. You know what Andrew's going to do after the show? He's going to Google
greens.
this, and then he's going to go find them and then make them. Yes.
I want my Warrigal greens with extra python poop on them, by the way, because it gives extra flavor. But here's the thing, that I come back to. I am convinced we are on the precipice of a true zombie apocalypse. Right, because when you go and you see these people, right? The lady on the
San Francisco.
Good point. I'm saying the lady on the airplane with thinking that the passenger next to her was not a real person,
drunk,
or the guy who was on the plane in his mask growling at everybody.
Drunk.
Yeah, okay. You can say that, but I'm going to go with zombie apocalypse is upon us. Brain worms from
brain infestation.
That's exactly it. From python poop feces. Oh, by the way, listen, it's not just confined to America. Thank you, Heather, for popping this in. I'd forgotten about this. 800-pound alligator caught in the Mississippi River the other day. They say they're not going to eat it, by the way, in case you were all wondering about this, because people do eat gator down there. Not eating the gator. It's going to be stuffed in a record here. This is astounding to me. Listen,
I prefer. Look, we've got gross. We've got alligators. There's a better story out there. The New York Post. I know we're on a break here, but a deer walks into a Washington candy shop, and adorableness happens.
And the bar and the candy shop owner says, "Hey, you can't bring your horn in here."
Yeah. No.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm leaving.
Hey, yo.
Goodbye.
I'm here all week. We're up on a break. It's 8:52 a.m. here on O'Connor & Company, WMAL. Well, it's always a slice of heaven when I sit in with Julie Gunlock. Joining me tomorrow, or me joining her tomorrow, Mercedes Schlapp. Looking forward to working with her. We're going to be talking about Clarence Thomas and the attacks on him. Also, more on this NIH pick with the 4 medical malpractice suits. Chris Plant. What are you talking about today?
Oh, nothing.
There's nothing going on.
It is. I love your whole tease. I love your whole tease, Julie and Mercedes, and the attacks on Clarence Thomas, which are never ending.
Right.
By these left-wing radical racists. We just call them Democrats, don't we? But it's never ending, and were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. Certainly the case when it comes to the Supreme Court. Isn't it interesting? It's just the black guy they go after, the party of the Confederacy and Jim Crow, the Klan. The Democrat Party. I got a bunch on them. There's a hurricane. We got